According to an article in the Australian newspaper Adelaide Now, shared parenting laws introduced in 2006 are bad for many children. The shared parenting model was introduced by the Howard government in response to lobbying by men's rights groups to replace the historical practice of the courts awarding custody to mothers. However, a research paper from Dr. Alan Campbell, Programme Director in the School of Social Work and Social Policy at the University of South Australia, based on interviews of children from divorced families, found the one-size-fits-all practice favoured by the courts focused on what parents wanted rather than children's well-being. So what, according to the research, do children want? Nick, 13, says, "I can't exactly remember. I think that was the decision because we were so young. It was better that we live with mum." Yet in one Australian study of 500 divorcees with children, 5 to 8 years after the separation, found that 4 in 5 divorced mothers were dependent on Social Security after their marriages dissolved. Another report says that divorce leaves both parents worse off economically, but women tend to experience the biggest fall in disposable income. Lawrence, age 16, said, "Mum and Dad went to the family court, but not so much about custody of the kids. It was just kind of seemed normal that we would live with Mum." But a Melbourne University study of 212 children found that fathers, even more than mothers, had a major beneficial influence on children in their first year of school. The study found that kids with regular father involvement were more cooperative and self-reliant in school than kids who did not have father involvement. According to Dr. Campbell, to one of the children, the concept of living with his father after separation seemed quite inappropriate. Callum, 10, said, "My friend lives with his dad and I find that a bit weird somehow. With his 2 brothers, it's all just boys. I don't know why, but you should live with your mum and or your dad, but you should live with your mum mostly. I don't know why." Perhaps one reason for father involvement is that, as the Australian former Human Rights Commissioner Mr. Brian Berderbeck found, there is a 500 to 600% increase in sexual abuse of girls and families where the adult male was not the natural father. Or that in another study, the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare found that a relatively high proportion of substantiations of child abuse involved children living in female-headed one-parent families and in 2-parent step or blended families. Dr. Campbell said other children were physically safe but felt depressed, stressed, confused and suffered adjustment problems. What courts need to do is to be allowed to look at a broad range of options, including shared parenting. The courts need to find out from the child, this is what it is like for me, this is what I'm thinking and this is what I'm feeling. Then the adult should make a decision based on the rich information the children can provide to the court. But as well as listening to children, perhaps Dr. Campbell could look at other colleagues' research which shows that what has been shown over and over again to contribute most to the emotional development of the child is a close, warm, sustained and continuous relationship with both parents, and that there exists today no greater single threat to the long-term well-being of children, our communities or our nation than the increasing number of children being raised without a committed, responsible and loving father.